All right, folks, let's go ahead and kick it off. Today is May 1, 2025. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. We're going to go over the 133 items that SIG Storage committed. The latest in our timeline here is we just cut the 133 release. So we want to go over those items and see what made it into the release and what needs to get pushed to 134. In the next time we can do 134 planning. Um, Beyond that, if you have any additional items that you want to discuss, please feel free to add to the agenda. You can find the link to the agenda in your calendar invite. With that, I will go ahead and switch over to our planning spreadsheet and we can start getting status updates for 133. Okay, so first up we have CSI volume health. Consider moving to beta. This was alpha for this cycle. Looks like our previous status was had discussion working on doc that captures use cases and design ideas. So I think I'm going to go ahead and mark this as move to 134. And we'll continue working on this for 134. Change block tracking was marked as done. Anything outstanding here? It looked like just the blog PR was outstanding. Did that get in?
Not yet. There was still a comment to be resolved,
Got
but
it.
we can
Okay.
close.
Sorry, I just joined. Are you talking about the CSI one?
This one
Yeah,
is
but
change block
CBT block.
tracking.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. Hopefully that'll be closed soon. And next item is enable privileged containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows out of tree. This is moving to beta this cycle. We didn't get an update on it for a while. Do we have anything new here? Do we have Eddie by any chance?
I think last we heard there was interest in moving this to beta, but then Alibaba indicated that they were not going to be able to do the work needed to make that happen. So I think that's where we were. I haven't heard anything after that.
Got it. Okay, so let's move it to 134 and see if someone else can pick it up.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Cool. Thank you. All right, next is SE Linux relabeling using mount options. And this was planned to move to beta, should already be done. So don't need to do anything there. Next one is volume attribute class. Remains in beta, adding quota support this cycle. Last update was quota changes merged, targeting GA in 134. Anything outstanding for this one, the quota change? Or for anything volume attribute class related?
My understanding is that I think whatever we needed to get it to GA has been completed. We are in beta in this release 133, and we should be good to go to GA in 134.
Cool. Okay. I will go ahead and mark that as done for this cycle, and then we'll start pushing for a GA in the next release. Cool. Thank you for the update on that. Next is CSI Sidecar All-in-One. The status here is kept as being reviewed by team member working on this. I'm just going to go ahead and mark this as move to 134, and we can continue that effort in 134. Next is removing Git repo in tree plugin announcement, official removal to allow deletion of code. Last status is it's in the 133 release blog. This was the announcement part of the work that needs to be done. I think it's safe to mark this as done, unless someone thinks there's some other work to be done here. Okay. Then the other part of this was the code feature flag to enable by default, and that PR was merged. Then you have mutable CSI, node allocatable property. This was moving from design to alpha this cycle. Blog was the only thing that was remaining. Did the blog get merged for this one?
The blog was merged and we completed all the requirements for alpha. So in 134, we'll be targeting beta.
Got it. Awesome. Okay, I'll go ahead and mark that as done. Thanks, Connor. Next is Cozy overall move to V1 Alpha 2. Any updates on this one?
Yeah, we have like a rework of the V1 Alpha 1 features. So without adding any new features to V1 Alpha 2, we have the kind of like doc rework where we said about like fixing some like errors and inconsistencies, reworked a couple of the existing features based on feedback, and that is up for review. I have that on the meeting sheet as well. Yeah, the question I have is that, so we haven't really added any substantial new features. We do have features that we're wanting to add. Is it better to add those to the cab one by one after this rework? Or would you prefer to like have those features all in one PR?
And do you have a preference?
Me?
Sorry, I was checking if Xing had an opinion or one of the tech leads. I don't know if we have Jan or anyone else on the call.
Oh, sorry, you're asking whether you want multiple PRs or just one PR, right? Is that your question, Clay?
Yeah, I just, yeah, I want to know what's going to be best for the people reviewing. I know Saad is also going to be,
Right,
Saad and Michelle are also reviewing.
right. I thought it might be easier to review if you have multiples, but I'm fine either way. I don't really have like a strong opinion about this.
Yeah, maybe go with a single big PR, then it'll just be one place to look instead of 5 different places, but no strong preference.
Okay. Cool. Can do. Thank you.
Okay. So for this one, we'll just move this to 134. Let me put a note to do that.
Yeah, Cozy is not tied to a specific Kubernetes release.
Yep.
So yeah, I assume that's good for tracking, but no in-tree changes or anything.
That makes sense. We'll just keep tracking it in the next one. Thanks, Blaine.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have storage capacity scoring, how to sort. And this was done, just the blog to be merged. What's the status of the blog for storage capacity scoring?
Merged.
Merged, nice. Okay. Then we have volume populator, data source, add metric support and testing out of tree. This was GA for 133. And last status was done in KK, just blog to be merged and need to cut a sidecar release. Status of those?
Yeah, so the blog is merged this morning. So the next step is to release the volume populator lib and validator with
Got it.
33.
Okay, so let me just copy that over. Okay. Thank you, Sunny. Next is CSI migration Portworx GA in 133. This was marked as done a while ago, so I think we're good here. Always honor reclaim policy moving to GA. And this was marked as done, waiting for blog to merge. Did the blog get merged for this one? Always honor reclaim policy.
Yes, it's merged.
Awesome. Thank you, Xing. Next is integrate CSI volume limits with autoscaler. This was design work for this cycle. I think the goal is to move this to 134. So let me put a note to do that. Move to 134. And then last one is kubelet evented desired state of the world populator. New design proposed, move to 134. So let's go ahead and move that to 134. Okay, with that, we can go back to our notes. So before our next
Sorry,
meeting-
what was that last one? Invented desire state of the world populator? What does that mean? Does anyone know?
I think if I remember correctly, it was trying to make the optimize the controllers for monitoring the desired state of the world. I believe those are currently run in a tight loop. And I think the argument was that that was wasting CPU. And
Okay. So evented means like make them more event driven,
yep,
not just spinning aggressively.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like
Yep.
that makes sense. Thank you. You don't see the word evented very often. Maybe we need a better name.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you can come up with one, feel free to rename it here. Okay, let's go back to our notes here. So it looks like we have one design review question from Blaine. Blaine, is this the one we just talked about or something different?
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay. Do you have conclusion on this?
Yeah, my conclusion is that the reworked PR is good, but for the feature additions afterwards, I will include those all in a single PR.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Blaine. Next we have Yingqi. Any update on this one?
Yeah. I have a proposal to discuss with the community. There is the background that we have a release a new type of EBS storage called regional disk. And as the name suggests, it can be attached to any compute resource within a region. And we also provide a feature that enable user to upgrade from a regular EBS, which can be attached to a Zuno compute class, to upgrade this normal EBS to the regional EBS while keeping the same disk ID. However, in order for this feature to be usable within a Kubernetes cluster, we need to make it possible to modify the node affinity in the persistent volume. I would like to confirm that if this proposal can be accepted, or perhaps modifying the PV fields is simply not possible at all. And if other storage providers are interested in this proposal.
We actually also have this requirements, so I'm interested in this one.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any assumptions about uh, basically these fields being immutable within the rest of the stack, that if we make them mutable, it'll become problematic?
Yeah, if there is any other one interested in it, you can leave a message on the issues. Yeah.
Yep. I guess Shinchi, you're mostly interested in seeing if there's others interested in this and have them collaborate on the issue.
Yeah.
Got it.
So if it is acceptable, we can submit a new cap to achieve these goals.
Are there any thoughts,
For any
questions,
other,
concerns from this group for Yingqi? Yeah, I think no fundamental concerns. My primary question would just be, how do we the field that we're talking about, how does the system currently handle it? And let's just think through all the corner cases of if we switch it from immutable to mutable, what could go wrong? How are we handling that? All the weird cases of if somebody is flipping very quickly back and forth, and if there's a race condition, all of these types of weird behaviors are the things that we need to think through.
yeah. We think it perhaps only influence within the scheduler. Yeah. So I think the other components of the cluster will not have influenced by that. Yeah.
Got it.
Do we know if this impacts volume attribute class related attributes in any way? Is there any dependency?
We think it can be implemented by volume attributes class. We talked about this on Slack several months ago.
Okay, so the way you're thinking about it is that there would be a mechanism in the volume attribute class to modify this.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that
Exactly.
work? Because we are still we are in the process of getting the VAC stuff to go GA in 134. So does that create a dependency on that work? Like,
I think
I would
the
imagine that.
multiple.
Sorry,
Go
go ahead.
ahead, please.
Oh, I was going to say that I would imagine that it shouldn't, like, whatever you want to do can happen after the feature has become GA still, right? Like without causing any backward compatibility concerns or anything like that.
I think it could be depends in VAC because it's I think make a PV node affinity multiple is maybe a long-term work.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I think I'll review the issue in more detail to understand what you're proposing. Yeah, that would be the only call out from my side, that we want to make sure that the volume attribute stuff can go GA in 134. We wouldn't want to hold that back. As long as what you're proposing doesn't impact that, I think that should be fine. So
Okay.
It shouldn't change the VAC API itself, right? Because I imagine, I haven't actually looked at the issue, that this would just be something like controller modify returns a new, what do you call it? Like affinity, and then we just like apply that to the volume. So like the VAC object itself shouldn't need to change in any way. worst case, we might need to change like the CSI driver object or something to allow you to enable this feature. But even that, I don't think. Like it'll probably just be implemented in the sidecar or in the CSS spec.
Yeah, that's what I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. Mm.
So, okay, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions, comments on this? All right, for folks interested, please take it to the issue, and Yinchi, you can probably take this to a CAP and start deeper discussions.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, hi. I have a topic that was added to the agenda for the last meeting, but wasn't moved to this one. It's about the FS user. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it is basically regarding adding a new field to security context. That would allow parity with FS group. It would be the same as FS group. It just would modify the UID. There is not a lot of cases where this functionality was missing. I found like 2 or 3 issues that mention it, like PSQL and SSHD. Well, I was just I'm trying to ask if it's something that would be worth to implement. I already finished the implementation as it is a part of my master's thesis, so I could provide some sort of proof of concept or something like that. But I just read through the processes that it's best to first ask before creating CAP or something.
Can you help us understand the problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, well, there are some situations like with PSQL that the program or the PSQL requires like the secrets to be owned by a specific user with specific permissions to be able to like read them. And currently, this is able to be fixed with init containers. When we set up an init container that manually changes the permissions of the secrets, then it can work. But this is a workaround, and I think adding this FS user field would
Are you
make
talking about the UID and GID on the POSIX file system inside the
yeah,
account?
the ownership of the secret. Yeah.
Well, what is it default to today?
It defaults to, I think it defaults to the one that the UID on the host. Because
And
when
there's
we
no way to change
utilize,
it today with other than like in a init container that is a chown?
to my understanding, yes, it is not.
Okay, well, I mean that seems like your problem.
No, the
Today it's just
default
whatever
is
the
the
driver.
if comes from the
No. Sorry. Let me rephrase. There is a possibility to use run as user, and in that case, that value is used. But if someone needs to run multiple processes with different UIDs, then there becomes a problem.
Okay, so it's possible to set the UID by doing a run as user, and then it will be set as the
Yeah.
same user that's running the process, but you can't set it to a different user than the process is running as, and you're saying there are use cases where you want to set it to a different user.
Yeah.
So that seems straightforward. Like it would be nice to be able to set it.
there were other use cases. This is a long-standing problem. Like some people wanted to use like for example, if you have a SSH key or something in a empty tier, or I don't know, in a persistent volume, and then because we apply group-based permission, it means that it will have like 7 or something permissions by default, and that means that it will be like some security tools like OpenSSH will refuse to read it. It should
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
So that's another use case. That was,
Well, I
I
mean,
thought.
we have deep problems in the area of file system ownership, file system permissions, especially when you're doing things like ID mapping um, in the CRI. But for something just like a secret volume where we're conjuring it up out of nothing, there should be a way to set what the user ID is. And so if we really don't have any way of doing this other than the run as, and that's just too big of a hammer, then yeah, a more fine grained tool makes obvious sense.
So run as user, it's a problem if you want to change the run as user to different UID on a pod restart, or you created a different pod from same deployment and you change the run as user to a different user, then it will not, the files written by the previous user will not be readable by the next user, unless the common FS group was used in both the cases. That's accurate, right?
Yeah.
So there have been some other efforts actually in that regard, and I remember for certain volume types, projected or something, we already allowed like user-based permissions, and so have you looked at any of that work that was done for different for some very subset of volume types where user-based permissions are allowed actually?
Yeah, I read through it a while ago and took it as an inspiration when I was trying to figure out how to implement it. I think my solution is pretty similar to what was being done before.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is it sounds like a good problem to solve. So since you already have a POC, maybe convert this into a CAP and let's take it from there.
And,
Okay, thank
and
you.
it just, I assume you've already thought about this, but just in case, like think about backwards compatibility. Think about what will happen when someone expects this feature to work and it's not present, and so it basically gets ignored. All those kinds of concerns for people running older versions versus newer versions and portability across implementations. That's where I think you'll run into some trouble, but it'll probably be fine.
Okay,
Just make sure
thank you
you,
for the heads up.
yeah.
And also, like, what happens is like if two pods are trying to use the same volume, which like that's the reason basically we went with FS group use case, right? Like that will not be possible anymore if you use pods are using different FS user, maybe same FS. So same, like two pods are using same FS user but different FS group.
But wait, for a secret volume, don't we recreate it every time a pod uses it?
Yeah, but see, that's why it's allowed for but this proposal, I think it allows for everything, right? Like persistent volumes in general, not for secrets or not for ephemeral
I
volume.
didn't read the. Yeah, I'm thinking for things that are literally conjured up by kubelet on the node, you should be able to set it to whatever.
Yeah,
If it's a more broad proposal, then we need to think through all the other non-ephemeral cases.
I think this is for non-ephemeral. This proposal, correct me if I'm wrong, is for persistent volumes, right?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, then you're likely to step on some landmines. That's much harder. um, but well, I'll take a look at the doc. I just need to find a link.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to be ensure that we are backward compatible. I think that there and look into the existing issue that is open since forever. Why? What were the reasons that it was not done so far, and all the historic stuff actually about this. So
Well, I'm just thinking if we can scope the solution down to just the ephemeral cases and solve those, would that be enough of an improvement to be worth doing the work? Because those I think are easy to solve and are worth doing.
yeah, I mean, ephemeral, like I said, projected volumes we already support. I think for empty dir and all, we could implement it actually. So let me see, do we do FS user? No, not in this case. But yeah, we can definitely do for ephemeral volumes like relatively easily. But for other volume types, yeah, we'll have to kind of.
I mean, is there any reason it can't just work the same way the FS group works today for PVs? Like, it should just be the same handling, right?
Can you say that again?
Is there any reason it can't just work the same way that FS group works today for PVCs? Like for non-ephemeral ones?
FS group doesn't really work. That's the problem. Like it's kind of kludgy and it tries its best, but it's not a reliable solution that works across the board.
Well, well, I mean, for some definition of it definitely works, Ben, but it just
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a subset of situations where it solves the problem, but it's not a universal solution.
yeah. So we will have to look at this. If you want to use FS user for persistent volume, we'll have to look at like the CSI. Like we have to implement it in CSI volume mount group to support something. So all this, if you want to really implement FS user for persistent volumes, you'll have to solve it starting from CSI, I'm afraid, and not just Kubernetes, and make sure that it works for all volume types without any exception. So this is going to be a hard problem to solve. Like for
Okay, but
example,
yeah.
like for example, a SMB, a CIFS volume currently in Kubernetes, we apply FS group as a volume mount option, actually as a mount option. So FS user also can be applied UID, GID, but then the CSI spec has to be changed to support that use case. Then you'll have to think through like I said, like sharing the volume between multiple parts if there's anything else that can break. So there may be some other corner cases that I'm missing, but yeah.
Okay, thank you for your insight.
Yeah, this is an interesting area, Dusan. Thank you for bringing it up, and it's cool that it's part of your master's thesis. So if you want to push it forward, feel free to move it to CAP. It sounds like what I'm hearing is it's probably easier to scope this down to just ephemeral volumes, but it's really up to you if you want to try and tackle the whole solution for ephemeral and non-ephemeral. Non-ephemeral will
Okay.
just be a lot harder. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns on this or anything else today? Okay, at the next meeting in 2 weeks, we will plan to do 134 planning. So if there's anything that you think this group should be working on for 134, please join that meeting and let us know, and we'll make sure to get it added to our planning spreadsheet. All right, if there's nothing else, we can end a little bit early today. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.